Okay, I can't believe I'm already doing this, but we're looking at a game that I was planning to review since the start of my review show. But anyway, here we are. So without further ado, we will start. What game we're looking at again? Bratz Rock Angelz for the GameCube and PC. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, the Bratz dolls were a series of doll lines debuting back in 2001. They were pretty much Barbie's rivals, but somehow even more spoiled. But hey, at least Barbie has a good movie. Despite their popularity, they were controversial due to their designs, as well as believing they could negatively influence young girls. But as I mentioned before, they were extremely popular throughout the 2000s. But then their popularity started to decline and now they are seen as a relic of the 2000s. They eventually expanded to other media, such as a cartoon, movie, direct-to-DVD movies, music albums and of course video games. There are so many Bratz games. Today we're looking at this one, Bratz Rock Angelz, released in 2005. Yeah, this game is now gonna be 20 years old. Out of all the games I picked that are gonna turn 20 to review, I chose this one. Although I have a better game that I'm gonna review that is gonna turn 20 this year. This game is based on the direct-to-DVD movie of the same name. Although the console version, which we're gonna play first, although we're also gonna look at the PC version later on here, is not based on the movie. The console version was released for the PS2 and GameCube and was developed by Blitz Games, who also made a Barbie game, which is fitting, and weirdly enough, even Bad Boys Miami Takedown. What a weird addition to their collection. They also made Glover and Frogger 2 and Zapper. Yes, I might look at Zapper 2 at one point. All of the versions were published by THQ. Also, there was a Game Boy Advance version developed by some company called Barking Lizards. What a weird name. Without further ado, let's start the game. We start with the CG cutscene ripped from the movie, and to be honest, it looks ugly. The animation looks cheap, the characters are hideous and the lighting is basic. Also, there's this weird animation error where the phone wire goes through the trophy. So anyway, let's talk about the story. So Jade gets a job as an intern at Your Thing magazine. But then the boss Berdine forces her to do things. The Weevils tell her what she likes for lunch, then Jade gets her a burger, Berdine gets mad and fires her over the food. And just listen to the way she yells fired. Fired! 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 To be honest, I found it especially weird how she says it 3 times in a row. We then get to the game where we get a glimpse of the in-game graphics. Also, you may notice this bug where her toe is twisting. We start with the tutorial and this may be the weirdest tutorial ever. Just listen it for yourself.
I suppose I should press the B button to get that. I suppose I should select that text from Chloe and press the A button to read it. I can press the A button to reply to Chloe, or I can just exit with the B button. I should check the Bratz planner with the A button just to make sure I know what I'm doing.
The way how the tutorial is explained is weird. It kinda reminds me of the tutorial from Conker's Bad Fur Day, except you know, it isn't funny.
You see those buttons? Actually, you'll find that they're called context sensitive. And, well, actually, they, press B.
Press B.
Oh, yeah, the light comes on, and it makes this nice ting. Right, a ting noise. Guys, ting. Look, ting. That's it.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll press B.
At the start you send a text to Chloe and then she tells you to meet her at the smoothie bar. Then we get to move, and these controls are over. They are slippery as hell to the point you feel like you're moving on ice. At the same time we get to collect blings, which are later used as your currency. In the open world they just randomly spawn on the map and you collect them. It's not a really open world as there are loading screens between, so it's more like a semi-open world. Now back to the story. You get towards the smoothie bar and damn, these animations just look cheap. They look worse than the ones in the cutscenes. And the lip sync is just terrible. It looks like it's from a bad anime dub, and most of the times they don't open their mouths properly with the dialogue.
You after your CDs? I know you let me borrow one, and it was really banging too, but I loaned it to Dylan. Hope that's okay. You could try looking for him in the park.
So Jade tells them she got fired and that she's upset, and now the rest of the girls decide to cheer her up. Then we get to play as Yasmin and get to a clothes shop to buy clothes. After all, this is based on fashion dolls. So far we have limited options for clothes, and to be fair, these clothes look ugly to me. After buying some clothes, I got confused until Yasmin told me to press B and send a text to Chloe. And after that she comes here and we can switch to her by getting close to her and selecting her. We get to a makeup store to buy a compact and we get to the makeup minigame, which is probably the most fun I have in this game, since it allows you to fuck up their faces. It doesn't demand you how to do it, so I just did this. After the makeup, now we send a text to Sasha, asking her where she is. The weird thing is when you send these texts, they just instantly respond after you close your phone. This time Sasha doesn't come to you, instead you need to walk there yourself. You switch to her, send a text to Jade, and then you get to her apartment. So that was pointless. I could have just simply texted Jade and get to her, instead of needing to switch to Sasha. So we are at the party and now Jade feels a little bit better and then we get to play her again. At this point it does teach you how to change the music on the stereo. The music is literally just generic 2000 steam pump, so to not assault my ears I just turn it off whenever I can. We get to change clothes again at the wardrobe, except now you can buy anything since you're not in a store. And Sasha also teaches us how to pose. You just simply press buttons. You can press one button or at least two more buttons to strike a pose, and then you get points. Then it shows you how to strike a set of pose here. At first I thought you needed to press all three buttons at the same time, but no, you need to press them in order. The weird layout makes it confusing. After doing poses, they get idea to start their own magazine, so they get to obviously the same building as before. And wait, how are they supposed to drive a car? Do they even have a license? Aren't these girls in high school? And how they can afford the apartment? How much money do they have? They get inside the apartment, but it's so ugly, so they decided to redecorate it. And somehow they did it quickly. Shouldn't that take like months or even a year to finish? I don't get it. So after the redecorated apartment, they give you instructions that you need to go to the workstation to get your next quest. Each girl has her own set of quests to complete. The first one I did was with Jade, which I needed to go to dynamic design to design a t-shirt, and designing the t-shirt is honestly not that fun. You have very few options, such as changing the base of the shirt, adding the picture and then changing the colors. It is literally not that fun due to the limited options. Yeah, I designed this ugly brown monstrosity of a shirt. When you save your shirt, you can only save 4 shirts at a time. So if you create a 5th one, you need to change one. Yeah, but to be honest, it doesn't matter, since after you design this one, you don't need to design another one. Oh yeah, I would like to also mention that there's a map you can access, which I did every time I did this, because although the map is small, I easily forget where each location is, so I looked at it every time. Also, there's no mini-map in this game. Next I played as Yasmin, and her first objective is to take 3 pictures of animals at the park. This also teaches us how to use the camera, and it's pretty simple. Just take pictures as well as zoom in and zoom out. You can also take a few photos, and when you take them, they look incredibly low res. that look like you took a picture on those cheap children's cameras. This camera gets used in some other missions, like this one where we take a picture of a guy kissing a girl. Blackmailing much? Next I played as Sasha, in which we need to find her lost CD. We talk to other characters asking who has her CD, and we eventually find it. Lastly I played as Chloe, which her objective was to work on an article about makeup, where we get to use the makeup section again, and to be honest, it is still one of a few fun parts of the game, where I created this horrible abomination. Not gonna lie, this will be great for those Instagram or TikTok makeup challenges. That's basically what you do between every chapter. Each time you get a set of missions you need to finish before you can continue the story. I'm not gonna mention everything I did because it will take too long since there are a lot of them, but I will mention other things you get to do. You do also get to control the roller skates in a few of these missions and even buy them as you traverse city. And to be honest, these roller skate controls are worse than the on-foot controls, as it is slippery and hard to control, although I use them as fast travel since I wanted to finish this quickly, so unless you wanna travel faster, these are optional for the most part. It's only mandatory in a few missions. Also, since I mentioned clothes earlier, all it matters is the brand of clothes you wear, but other than that these are purely cosmetic. You can also simply just make them wear the same clothes for each one, which if you are a cheapskate and want to save money, you would obviously want to do that, or you can simply wear the shirt you made. As for the graphics, aside from the CG cutscenes which themselves already look hideous, these graphics are terrible for a 2005 GameCube game. The low-res textures and the low-quality models make it look like a Nintendo 64 game. Of course, this wasn't early during GameCube's lifespan, as Super Mario Sunshine, Wind Waker and Melee were already out, and literally showed what the GameCube can do graphically. These models for animals in particular look ugly, but at the same time I don't really mind the animals since you don't see them a lot in the game, so it doesn't really matter to me. Also I'd like to mention that this game runs on the renderware engine, the same engine as the 3D era GTA games and the Burnout games. Literally those games all look better graphically, and I will say even the first Burnout game, which was an early game using the engine, looked better, even if it looks rather basic compared to other Burnout games. So anyway, back to the story. Apparently the girls get a ticket to see a punk band in London, which was apparently in Berdine's mail, so we are literally gonna use tickets that obviously aren't ours. Which I gotta say it's questionable at best. However, the tickets apparently are also a all expenses paid trip with a 5-star luxury hotel suite. So basically they're going to see a band and to a luxury hotel in London with tickets that obviously aren't theirs. Man, that sounds questionable. Okay, sorry for repeating myself, but it is questionable. However, after you complete all of those tasks, Chloe notices the tickets are gone, and they quickly found out it was the Tweevils who took the tickets, because they found a band-aid in their office. The Bratz demand the Tweevils to give back the tickets, but they refused because they are Burdines, which I'll argue that these quote-unquote Tweevils are actually doing something reasonable here, since the tickets obviously aren't Bratz's. But in the next cutscene, Chloe has idea to disguise as a Tweevil and sneak into the office to get the tickets back, which I think it's questionable at best. Okay, sorry for repeating myself here again. However, but she also gets a plan to put a pink sale poster to tweak the Tweevils and Berdine. So we are basically making a fake cut to convince someone to get the tickets back. To be honest, for a game aimed at young girls, this sure has a lot of things the girls do that are questionable at best, like literally stealing tickets and putting a fake cut. So we go to a store where we design a poster which works the exact same way as the shirt designing game, but at least it gives me the opportunity to create ugly posters. So we also dress up as a Tweevil and then we sneak into Berdine's office where we steal the tickets, which is just a document with a British flag on it. It is easy as the only challenge is to avoid the papers on the floor And after that we get the tickets back and they travel to London. We get to London, which looks quite small compared to the real town. And as civilians we have our punks with stereotypical British accents.
Hello, you look nice. I'm a Londoner, born and raised.
Which I'll say barely makes me feel like I'm in London. The weird thing is that the developers of this version, Blitz Games, were a British company. So high they didn't make it more accurate to the real-life counterpart. We get to the hotel where Sasha tells us that she was supposed to get an interview with Crash, but tells us that they've split up due to creative differences. Well, I guess they did split up in the punk way. However, but then they get the idea to form their own band, which I guess it's finally gonna be a Rock Angelz game. We buy clothes, create a poster and put them on the wall to advertise the concert. Then we get to the stage and we are posing. We're not playing in a rock band, but we are in fact posing on a runway.
This, my friends, is false advertising.
So I guess we are not Rock Angelz after all. The posing minigame is incredibly basic. All we do is just press buttons that appear on screen and then it switches girls midway. After that you get a freestyle where you strike your own pose. I guess we are not Rock Angelz after all, but instead we are fashion demons. Yeah. After that we get a magazine we can read, which after every chapter shows us our progress of what we did. I'll give credit for trying to be creative with the progress, but I won't bother reading this. Also, London Calling? The Clash demand a lawsuit. After that it's rinse and repeat. Do side objectives, go somewhere, buy clothes, make posters, perform a fashion show and make a magazine. And that's it. We're not gonna end here because we're gonna talk about the story. Berdin in the next cutscene hears us. We're gonna have a fashion show in Paris. After the success of our magazine, I can't believe that our magazine is outselling your thing. Berdin as expected gets mad for covering a Paris show and then she plans something. How it shows us that two evils are hearing that for some reason. We get to Paris, which like London definitely looks accurate to the real life counterpart. They get to the venue, which they reveal Pink Industries have bought the venue and notice that two evils are also in Paris. And now we sneak them in order to see what they're up to. And the sneaking part is terrible. And to be honest, I don't like the dead zone of the GameCube controller, so I just simply move the camera in order to rotate it. While we walk, we hear them talking nonsense.
Hey, Kirsty, isn't that the hotel where Birdface said those brats were staying?
Yeah, looks like the kind of place they'd hold themselves up in. No class at all.
Don't talk to me about class, sis. Class is my middle name.
I thought it was Agnes.
Shh. Ooh, a movie theater. Hey, Kirsty, let's go and catch a sophisticated French flick.
You doofus, Casey. That's cinema lumpier, as in lumpier seats than our movie theaters back home.
Oh, really? Why would they make a theater with lumpy seats?
Don't ask me. I'm still in shock over the bathrooms they've got here. Ugh.
We do reveal that Berdin set up a fake company to sabotage the show the Bratz were gonna have. We catch them and then we need to be Yasmin and then sneak into a makeup store, take a picture of her ugly face. We get classical music again. Then get to hear what she did and then we do the fashion show. At this point I'll be honest, without the music, these fashion show segments feel kinda eerie. Just look at this and tell me if you agree. The next chapter we get a mail where Chloe gets offered a dream job of a national magazine, with Sasha getting a DJ offer and Yasmin getting accepted to a Paris fashion college, while Jade remains alone. But before they go, we get to make our last fashion magazine. since we barely get to play in a rock band. I can officially confirm that the title is misleading. Our last fashion show is in a mansion, and after a final runaway show, the other girls get to their jobs, and then we have a cutscene where Jade is at the smoothie bar, where she reveals we didn't get to finish the magazine. She gets a text from the Tweevils telling us they want to meet us. We get to their office where they tell us they have something to show us, where we reveal that Chloe is there and find out she blindly signed the contract and the job opportunity was a trick. So those job opportunities were all a trick? As it turns out, yes, because when we get to Paris to get Yasmin and to London to get Sasha, and we reveal they've been also tricked. What a twist! Then we get back to the office where we get to save Chloe, but Berdine tells us it's too late, but then Casey opens the window and, to be honest, this scene looks weird. Just look.
Yes, you can't beat Berdine. Now get out of here. Your perfume is making me queasy. Open the window, sis.
Yeah.
No! My contract! My watertight ironclad contract!
Then the contact gets lost and we get to this part where we need to get the pieces of the contact before Berdine does. And this is quite frustrating because you need to get them before she does, but after you get one she immediately goes to the next one. So you need to wait for her to get closer before you get to the next one. Thankfully I eventually get it, and then after that the Bratz decide for one last fashion show. We perform at the same mansion as before, and then after that we complete the third issue of the magazine and decide to get a rest. And then we hear the Tweevils heard them that they wanted smoothies. And then we finish the magazine and get a music video ending, which I'm not gonna play, and the game ends. And after that we get back to the title screen. Well, after the credits, that is, of course. Well, yeah, that was bad. I feel like they were trying to make a GTA style game for young girls, but honestly don't feel it was well executed. The game is basic at best and easy to finish, well, unless you struggle with the rollerblade part. I'll say the graphics are terrible, the animations look lifeless and unnatural, but I honestly wonder, was this game meant to be an actual tie-in for the movie and they just decide to make their own thing due to budget or hardware issues? I honestly don't care and don't wanna know that. I'd like to put in a new thing in my reviews, the rating board, which will go all the way up to 5. So the GameCube version of this game gets a half star out of 5. I might be over exaggerating, but as much as I don't like this game, it's honestly not the worst GameCube or PS2 game, because I honestly played much worse. But we're not done. Now we're gonna play the PC version, which is a completely different game from the console versions, since that weird trend back for licensed games back in the day, where the PC version was a completely different game. This version was developed by OWE Games. All games, our games, I don't know. This starts exactly the same as the console version, but the cutscenes somehow look worse, because they're much more compressed. Then we get in-game, which to be honest these models look even more hideous than they already were in the console versions. As well as the dolls themselves, of course. First thing you do in the game is make smoothies by clicking on the right ingredient that appears on screen. And then after that Jade gets to her job as an intern on your thing. And we can see that unlike the console version, this one is a point and click game. Simply plays similar to the SpongeBob games AWE also made, but one thing I would mention is that you can change clothes anytime here, although here they are purely cosmetic. Although I did say that for the console version, here they literally are, as it's only for how your character will look. So basically here we create a poster and find fashion do's and don'ts photos. And after that we get to pick clothes for Berdine in another minigame where we click on them as soon as the right one appears. But it's hard because you need to click right when you see them, and then after we finish, the same incident as in the console version happens. And then the girls cheer Jade up. After that we actually invent the office, unlike the console version, by getting the right items for your apartment. We then get to another minigame, as before we go to London we need to pick the right clothes. But here it shows us what clothes we need to pick and then we pick them twice. and then after that they go to London. I would say there are more movie cutscenes here. I would say even though it would be better to create their own cutscenes, I think it is a bit better since I think it does a better job telling the story, and unlike the console version, this one actually follows the movie. We get one character not from the console version, this Simon Cowell ripoff called Byron Powell, but instead of a mean talent show Judge Simon is known for.
It was dreadful. No, really dreadful. And I'm saying that to be kind because you will never, ever, ever have a career in singing.
I don't believe you.
I'm telling you.
I don't believe you.
I'm telling you.
Well, you can tell me all you want, but I won't believe you.
Remember these words, you're not a singer.
Right. He's a reality TV show host, but not mean. What? At this point we play as the Tweevils, where we sneak into the Bratz's room to get the tickets, but then they hide in the closet and take a address book. We then get to a lost dog where we make a poster to find him. Then we see a guy using the computer, and how we get to use the computer.
You're a good dog, aren't you, Ozzy? Go make friends with Mr. Sprinkle. He looks lonely.
Hey! Get that brute away from Mr. Sprinkle!
Yeah, that. So then we get to make a poster again, and I would like to tell you they are basic, as you just simply select photos, borders and text, and that's it. After that it's another minigame where we take pictures of fashion do's and fashion don'ts. It is easy as it is not hard to miss the characters. The do's are the Bratz or their friends, and the don'ts are the Tweevils and Berdine. After that the girls decide to start their own rock band after the concert. Then we get to set up posters for a concert and get close. And here we actually get to play a rock minigame, and it's hard because I didn't know what to click on. You need to click on the girls that match the color, not the stars themselves. Then after that we get to a music video, and then again the game ends. However, there's also this Top Trumps minigame, which I honestly don't know how to play. But overall that's it. I simply uninstalled the game after this and ended it here. The PC version wasn't good either, but I'll honestly say it is a bit better than the console version. The story, while not good, is much easier to understand, and I think it does work a bit as a point and click game, even if it's basic. While easy, unlike the console version, there were some times where I needed to think, and the last minigame was really hard for me to understand. But other than that, the game is not good. The graphics are terrible, the voice acting is meh, and the characters are, well, just stereotypical and unlikable. However, I give the PC version a slightly better rating of a 1 out of 5. But guess what, that's not it, because there's another Bratz game after this. There's Bratz Forever Diamonds, which came out right after this, which I'm gonna review, but not right after this, so it doesn't drive me insane. But that's not it. After this there was Bratz the movie, so you think this will be a simple trilogy of licensed games. But no, after this there was a fourth one called Bratz, Girls Really Rock. Now it's a quadrilogy. I might butcher the pronunciation. But the good news is that unlike this one, I'll only have to play one version, because there isn't a PC version that's completely different. So I'll have less things to do here than here. I would like to tell you what they're like, but I don't wanna spoil the surprise, so you'll just have to wait and see. I'll be taking breaks in between, just like I did with my Put review before this, so I don't oversaturate my channel. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed my review of this, so thank you for watching and see you in my next review. Bye. Hey there, thank you for making all the way to the end here. I'd like to tell you it took me a while to edit this because Vegas Pro was messing with me, so I switched to Davinci Resolve, and now it works. I hope it was worth the effort and the job done. So yeah, goodbye.